Hi guys, welcome back to another weekly weight loss update. I think we're on update number 23. I did not write it down, so it'll be in the title. Anyway, so things are humming along and I'm going to tell you exactly where we're at. This is going to be kind of an interesting video. I think it's one of the ones you guys have been waiting for, but I'd like to start by saying this is not the Carnivore Coach video, unfortunately. I believe that should be next week's update video where we're going to talk about everything that the Carnivore Coach said. I was really hoping it would be this video for you guys, and the coach that I really wanted, I was not able to get scheduled in time for this weekly update to come out. And so unfortunately, we're going to have to wait till next week, but it is scheduled. It will take place this week, and we are going to go over in this video all of the questions that I'm going to be asking. Then all of that should be covered in the next video. But we are going to go over some macros today, so if you've been wanting to see some concrete hard numbers, we're going to play around with that in just a few minutes. So first I'll just give you kind of like a brief overview, you know, of where I'm at. So not a whole heck of a lot has changed since last week. I'm still what I guess I would consider low carb. I'm not adding up my carbs every day, so I'm not even like truly paying attention to, you know, whether I'm in ketosis or am I keto or what am I keto for, I don't know. So I'm just calling it low carb. I don't know exactly where I'm going to land yet. I'm still kind of just feel like I'm trying to like kind of regain my health and my strength and, you know, feeling good, and, you know, just kind of continuing to put resources around me like the Carnivore Coach to really just kind of figure out where I'm at. So low carb, that's where I'm at. I don't know. I did, however, try a little salad this week with cucumber in it. Oh my gosh. The crunch of the cucumber was just like unbelievably amazing, if I'm being honest. Oh, it was so good. It was just really good. I have definitely missed that. I don't love cucumber normally, but it was so good. So there has not been any pounds off the scale this week, but because, guess what? I have officially started exercising and going to a gym and working out, and I am so ecstatic about it. I feel really great and excited to like be doing it. I have been so sore this week, you guys. It's unbelievable. I think I have been more sore starting this exercising than I ever have in my entire life. So yeah, I've been really sore, and that has been a challenge in getting like household tasks done. And yeah, it's been an adjustment. It's definitely bizarre, but I feel really good about going to exercise. And so I'm sure I'm building muscle. I'm going about every other day, and I feel like that's been enough for this last week because I've been so sore. So we'll see where I land with that. I'm super excited to be going and doing that. And so I would imagine that has something to do with why, you know, the scale didn't drop a whole lot this week. I will say too, for those that do want to know, the scale, the first couple of days, the first couple of times I started exercising, in those first few days in there, the scale jumped up like 3 or 4 pounds. And it's so funny to me because I still get comments like some people just don't seem to understand that the scale fluctuates, and it really does. And so I'm not here really to debate that point. It's just, I report honestly to you what happens. I think that really helps a lot of you, especially who are women, you know, to know that yes, the scale fluctuates. It's a normal thing, and I'm not like at all concerned about it, but there's just some people that really like want to pick that apart, and I don't know. I don't understand why. It's a normal thing. It has fluctuated with every type of eating I've ever done, and it just is what it is. I understand that probably if you're at your goal weight, you know, and you've maintained your weight for a really long time, the fluctuations are going to be a lot less. When you have a lot of weight to lose and you're actively losing it, oh my gosh, the scale can jump up and down like a lot. So it's just something I'm like so not worried about. But if it does that to you too, just know it's normal. Mine does it as well. My husband has done it the whole time he lost weight. It's not an issue, but you know, it can be discouraging, you know, if you're not aware of it or if you don't know what's going on. I just figure most people know that by now. If your weight is fluctuating a lot, you probably realize that, but I don't know. I get comments like that. I just want to address that for those of you who, you know, it really does bother when you see the scale up. But anyway, so I took some notes so that we can go over what we're going to talk about with the Carnivore Coach. You guys have asked a lot of questions about what's going on, and so all of that's going to get addressed with the Carnivore Coach so that I can give you guys real answers. So next week should be, you know, I'm going to like bear it all to her and let her pick apart, you know, everything. If there's mistakes that I'm making or there's issues, you know, like I want her to see all of it, and so we're gonna go over all of it. So I have no idea what she'll say next week or what it will be like, but you know, that is what it is. So also I will update, there have not been any low blood sugars. I have felt totally normal. I do not feel weak. My energy level is skyrocketed again. It's back at my normal thing. Normally, guys, I have a lot of energy. I don't struggle with a lot of symptoms of anything, and I don't struggle with like not feeling good. I am typically like a really busy person. I like to just go, go, go. I have a ton of energy. That's where I'm at in life. I have to keep up with my kids, you know, and I'm not somebody who like relaxes or rests very well. I like to be doing stuff. I like to be going. So that's like my norm. So before eating carnivore, I was like that already. There was times of carnivore where I did experience that, but it was like baseline. And I'm back up to baseline now. So for the last week, I've felt really, really great and been like normal again. So that's where I'm at with that. So I have absolutely left some of the carbs in because, you know, I feel really, really good lately. So, okay, so here's all the things we're going to talk about with the carnivore coach. And I'm not giving out the name yet. Obviously I picked a woman. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. I might give out her name next week, depending on how it goes. If it goes really, really poorly or something, or I felt like she, you know, like just didn't understand or something went wrong, like I just don't want to I don't want to give anyone a bad reputation if it was just didn't meet my expectations. So I'm being careful because I'm putting it on YouTube. So I'm not sure yet if I'm sharing her name. You know, I might go over that with her. Anyway, obviously I'm going to talk to her about the reactive hypoglycemia, why that would be occurring. You know, does she agree with the naturopath that I went to here in that my body's not processing the fats fast enough and that's why I'm getting reactive hypoglycemia. We're going to go over being fat adapted. A lot of you have talked about being fat adapted. Were you fat adapted? You know, are you fat adapted? You suspect I wasn't fat adapted. I don't pretend to be an expert, so I'm going to go over all of that with her. Do I think I was? Yes. In the research that I've done on it, I do believe that I was fat adapted. Some of you have voiced you don't think so, and so we're going to ask her because I don't know. So how to tell if you're fat adapted, you know, what is being fat adapted? Was I fat adapted? We're going to go over all of that. We're going to talk about how can you do carnivore for 5 months and not be fat adapted. So we're going to talk to her about that. We're going to talk about you know, ketosis, how to get into ketosis, how to tell if you're in ketosis, you know, was I in ketosis? Some of you have voiced that, you know, well, you're not really in ketosis. You know, we're going to find out. We've talked about electrolytes a lot on this channel, so I'm definitely going to talk about electrolytes with her. You guys know that I had, for a while, I haven't kept mentioning it every week, but I had like numbness on my skin. Very, very noticeable and uncomfortable and very strange. It is still there like the teensiest bit. It is coming much back, like feeling is coming back on there, and so it's definitely like lessening, and so that's curious. I have thought maybe that was electrolytes, so I'm definitely going to be asking her about that. I'm definitely going to be asking her about electrolytes. Some of you have said, you know, was it low blood sugars? Are you sure it's not electrolyte related? You know, could it be because your electrolytes are low? So I will be asking her those questions and talking to her about that. I don't believe that is an electrolyte issue, the low blood sugars specifically. I was also supplementing with a lot of electrolytes during that time, so I don't know, that's something that we're going to be addressing with her, obviously. So one thing that's interesting is we're going to talk about my gallbladder. If you guys have been watching, you know that I don't have a gallbladder and I'm trying to do carnivore at the same time, and I am curious if that has changed or affected at all the fat adaptation process, and am I absorbing my fats appropriately because I'm not having a gallbladder, because that can actually very much so affect things. And I'm curious about that. I'm curious about that because I do feel like the more fat I eat, like it goes right through. And so sometimes I can even like see the fat still in the toilet. I know that's so gross. Sorry, I'm trying to pick my words carefully so I don't just disgust you guys. But yeah, a lot of times I feel like I'm not absorbing the fat appropriately. One of you also said you would really like to know, you know, about digestive enzymes and gallbladder and how was I doing with the ox bile. So I can tell you, I've been taking the ox bile now, even while I've had some carbs in my diet, I've continued taking the ox bile. To be really honest, I don't feel like it has done anything for me. I don't feel like there's been any change or any difference. My digestion has been different by adding some carbs back in, which has been really, really nice. I have struggled with my digestion the whole 5 months that I was doing solid carnivore, and you know, it's not something I have mentioned or talked about every single week. I don't want to get on here and talk about bathrooming all the time. And I certainly don't want to just sit here and like complain about that. So I haven't mentioned it a whole ton, but yeah, for 5 whole months, I really struggled with it just not being my norm. And that issue didn't really go away. So I definitely am going to be talking to her about that too, because yeah, I'm just curious. I'm curious, you know, what things were affecting it and how did I get to this point of, you know, low blood sugars and feeling so much like in a crisis. So that is something we're going to be talking about too. So I am going to go over with her, you know, macros and calories and kind of adding them up and where should they be for me personally if I was doing carnivore or if I transitioned to something more like ketovore or keto, you know, what should that look like for me? And so I'm going to go over that with her. And some of you have voiced too, are you getting enough fat in and are you eating enough? So I'm going to go over all of that with her. I'm going to show you my macros in a second. I very much so do believe that I was eating enough. One thing I really like about carnivore is that you don't have to like add up your calories all the time and you don't have to add up your macros all the time. I can see where it would be a good idea if you're having a problem, you know, to just see where you're at. But that was part of the appeal for me, is that I don't have to sit there and add all that up and keep super close track of all that. Like, that is not me. That's not something I'm really that interested in doing. And so because I was experiencing issues, you know, I definitely wanted to see, do I think I was eating enough? Yes. On average, I've been playing around with this app now, a couple of apps actually, but the one I'm going to show you today is from Carb Manager. I've also played around with Yazio. I hope I'm saying that right. I have no idea. And you'll have to bear with me and give me some grace because I am not proficient at doing my macros yet. It's not something I've done in my life. I mean, it seems pretty idiot proof. You know, you just enter your stuff in. So we'll see. I'm going to give you some examples today of how I was eating. I was eating probably on average with everything I've played around with to kind of see where I was, about 22, 2300 calories a day. To be really honest, because I wasn't exercising that whole time with carnivore, I probably needed to be a little bit less than that to really see more weight loss. I'm wondering if that is why it was slow, you know, some of the weeks. But that is something I definitely wanted to address because it was one of my concerns for carnivore. When I came to this, I didn't really like meat. So I was thinking I would make it a couple of weeks and be so sick of the meat that I would end up kind of like starving myself and just not be eating at all. And I am really happy to report with complete honesty and transparency that that was not the case at all. I actually kind of increased what I was eating near the end. And yeah, I found that I got acclimated to the meat. I really started to kind of enjoy that way of eating. Yeah, it just didn't end up being the problem that I thought it was. So I do think I was eating enough, but it definitely bears like, you know, checking that out with her because it was something I was worried about when I started, and not getting enough fat in. Is that possible? Yeah, that's definitely possible. I felt like at the end I was trying to consume so much fat that it was almost like tedious though. And I was getting tired of having to pay attention to every second, like eating and are you eating enough and are you getting enough fat and like not feeling good. Like, I don't know, it was not working there. So I don't know, we're gonna go over all of that with her, but let's go over the macros real quick because I wanted to give you guys at least something. You know, some of you have really in your comments been kind of annoyed with me, like I'm not giving out enough information each time. I don't count my macros. I don't count them every time. So if you're wanting hard concrete numbers, like this is not the right channel for that. This is not really what I want to do for my life, unless I choose keto and I really need to pay attention to this and that's how the weight's going to keep consistently coming off. We'll see. I'm just still trying to figure out where I'm at with everything. But for today, here are some options here just so you can kind of know. So I feel like a broken record, but let's just recap real quick so you guys can kind of understand the transition and the journey here. And it's going to be extremely brief because I feel like I've said it 100 times. When I first started, I was eating like a lot of different kinds of meats. Like I was getting a lot of variety. I was trying all different kinds of meats. I was seeing just kind of where I would land, how I would feel. I was trying not to get bored. And so it varied pretty widely at the beginning. However, I did choose one of the days of eating that I ate quite frequently, and It was the way I was eating the couple of weeks before the low blood sugars started kind of dropping and happening. And so that was like the predominant way of eating. And so I'm gonna go over those macros. That was like kind of around month 2.5 to 3, I was eating in there like that. So what I was having was about a pound of steak every night for dinner. I was cooking things in a lot of butter, so I was having at least 4 tablespoons of butter a day, like at least. So I put it at the very minimum. I was probably realistically having a lot more than that. Please know, like, I'm doing this as accurate as possible. I was aware of what I was eating at the time. However, I wasn't measuring out every tiny thing. So this is kind of an average overall kind of jumping off point to give us like an idea. It's not exact. I was not weighing everything exactly back then. So I was having 4 eggs in the morning for breakfast. I was cooking that in butter. I was having 2 cans of tuna. It was probably around 8 ounces, I think, of tuna a day. I was putting keto mayo in it, probably about 2 tablespoons for those couple of weeks in there before the low blood sugars happened. Please, I totally understand some of you do not support the keto mayo. I get it. Was the keto mayo solely what was responsible for causing low blood sugars? No. Come on. No. So please, you guys comment on it a lot. There's a lot of people who just don't like the keto mayo. I get it. I get it. We're talking about like in between months 2 and 3 right now, okay? So then I would also typically have like an afternoon snack too of a couple of turkey burgers, about 3 or so turkey burgers. I'm calling that about 6 ounces or so. And then the steak at night, like a pound of steak at night. So that's pretty typical of what the eating looked like right in there. So I'm just putting it in this carb counter, okay? I am not super great at knowing about this. I'm just reporting to you what the carb counter says, trusting that it knows what it's talking about. But with all of that here, it said I had 250 grams of protein that day. It said I had 143 grams of fat for that day, and I had 2,299, so 2,300 calories for that day with those things I just mentioned. 4 eggs, at least 4 tablespoons of butter, 8 ounces of tuna, canned tuna, keto mayo, a pound of steak, and about 6 ounces or so of turkey burgers. So that was a pretty typical day of eating. And so that's why I chose that one. That's what it looked like. So then I started getting low blood sugars, and I had about a week and a half in there where I added in like an avocado. So it's just like, what do I do? You know, I'm not feeling good. Let's just play around with it. Let's just see. The avocados made me feel incredible. It fixed the low blood sugars. However, the weight loss was really slow. I wasn't really losing a whole lot of weight, and I was just like, okay, I want to see if I can do carnivore exactly like my husband did it. So he just did steak, he did eggs, he did hamburger meat. He never had low blood sugars. His weight just dropped right off. He felt good. So I was like, okay, if I can try it his way and do it just like that, then let's see where I'm at with that. So I did that for 5 solid weeks where it was literally just eggs, butter. I added in tallow, bone broths, hamburger meat, steak, sometimes ribs, although that's not included in this because it was not an everyday thing. And even near the end when we were thinking, am I getting enough fat in, I was like literally like frying up fat trimmings and like eating them, which I don't like any fat on my meat. So that was really hard for me. I did fairly okay with it. I found out that actually when it's grizzled up, like I could stand it. So anyway, so that is 4 eggs in the morning for breakfast, at least 4 tablespoons or more of butter, but I put it kind of on a minimum. Probably about 2 tablespoons or so of tallow to cook the steak in at night. And then I was having, I want to say maybe like 8 ounces, like a half a pound of hamburger meat boiled like in a soup kind of thing. So all the fat was like in it, and it made like sort of like a broth. I was drinking and eating that for lunch. I was having bone broth, but I wasn't making it at home myself, which I probably should have been doing, but I was having the Zoop brand, which I've showed you guys before. And honestly, when I look at it on here, it was like negligible. It didn't really add a whole heck of a lot. I was hoping to get like potassium from it, but because I wasn't making it at home, I don't know how much I was actually getting of potassium from it, to be honest. I'll cover all that with her, with the Carnivore coach, potassium and stuff as part of the electrolytes. So, and then I was having like a whole pound of steak still every night for dinner. And that was really it. It was just steak, eggs, hamburger meat, and as much fat as like I could possibly get in. And so that's what it looked like. And my protein was Yeah, it was 223 grams of protein is what it said, and 155 grams of fat. So about 12 more grams of fat than the other way of eating, and still 2,310 calories. So still right around the same amount of calories. So I don't know, I'm looking at all of that thinking I definitely wasn't starving. I definitely was eating food. I never got to the point where I was down to like 1 meal a day. Sometimes it was 2 meals a day and it was just a little bit bigger of a meal for lunch. Sometimes it was like 2 meals and like a little snack. And yeah, I just never got down to the 1 meal a day or true intermittent fasting, just because I felt so weak. I felt like I really needed to eat, even though sometimes I wasn't even hungry. That was the weird thing about the blood sugars dropping, was that I could be full but weak at the same time, and then my blood sugar would drop, and it's like, okay, now I have to eat, but I don't even feel like eating. So that was kind of this weird thing I was experiencing. It was kind of difficult to deal with. Anyway, I hope that helps you guys. A lot of you have commented, you know, you wanted to know the different macros, and a lot of you have offered help and assistance. You know, you've seen me struggle with this, and I just wanted to say, you know, thank you. I'm so thankful and humbled, you know, that people care, that you guys would care, and that you would even offer your help. I do want to say it's really hard to get help from the comment section of YouTube. You know, it's just there's been a lot of different comments, there's a lot of differing opinions and different comments and different things, so I'm doing my best to you know, get outside source from help from sources, you know, that I know, and that's part of what the Carnivore Coach is for, but so that I can relay information accurately to you guys who are wondering. But it is very hard to like take advice from the comment section, and so I just want to say that, like, I truly appreciate everybody. And I enjoy so many of your comments. I really do. So definitely keep commenting, but just don't get like your feelings hurt or get offended if I don't take your advice exactly. It's really hard to weed through everything and to you know, find what's right for my body and pick the right thing for my body and figure out where I'm at with everything. And so that's what the Carnivore Coach is going to help me with next week, and I'm hoping to have that update for you next week. And I'm going to let you go, and I will see you guys in the next update. Take care. Bye-bye.
I start to sail along these ocean waves. Nobody knows how to find us. It's turning out to be a perfect day. I just wanna leave our normal lives behind us. So